heavy,
bored.
And for me, getting into some of the negative, like I wanted to ask you about this, but right around page 18 in this, so almost to the end of like the first part of Howl. Those that don't know, Howl is in three parts. The first part is the most famous part, but right around page 18, I started to be like, okay, like it starts to get a little long-winded for me as I was reading it now, like kind of older and not like, a hungry like teenager, college, undergrad student like devouring it. And then when I got to like the second and third part, what do you think of those? Because to me, when I got to the second and third part of this poem, it did feel a little bit like kind of the afterbirth of the original kind of sweeping big first part that everybody knows, and like it doesn't quite fit the larger poem.
I think it fits the larger poems. I'm just, I get sick. I get tired out of the kind of list structure. And
Yeah,
I talked
that's
about
what
this
I felt
with
around
Whitman
page
too.
18. It was like
And
literally
I
like
feel
three
this
more
way about
pages
most
before
poems. I always feel like a poem that is also a list sometimes, like they can be fun, that, they do interesting things. Sometimes they overwhelmingly don't do it for me.
Right.
This one does, kind of, right? Like, and that's not to say there are not poems that I don't like. I think there are those that are extraordinary. I think Sherman Alexie's Pachyderm is one of those.
I don't think I've ever read it.
It's literally a list, and it's done really well. But it's also different. It's not. I call it a list, but that's only because it has numbered lines. But maybe we can talk about that one another time. But yeah, whenever you do a list like this, the longer the poem, the closer you get to running the risk of boring your reader. Right? So while it's impressive, it's sustained, I think it fits. I think that all of these other parts that are about sort of, I don't know, it's like the coming together of like institutions and religion and some kind of transcendence and some recognition of beauty in all things. And like there's this sort of smashing together of like the beautiful and the ugly becomes the beautiful in its own right. And all of that works. All of the themes work. I think that the other two sections, the ones that begin Moloch.
Yeah, section 2 or section 3.
Section 2 is that one. And then we have I'm With You in Rockland. The I'm With You in Rockland section.
Yeah.
And then we have the footnote. Right? So it's really like 4.
Yeah.
Because there's also the footnote to Howl.
And the footnote did strike me a lot of this kind of like Whitman homage, or maybe even mockery to some extent, but in like a loving way.
Yeah. I think the last...
Inner.
Resources. American resources.
Being bored?
Some activities are intentional, right?
It shows such a lack of gratitude for life. Bored. I aspire to boredom, I should say.
Bored.
I am heavy.
Bored.
Has you the night sweats and the day sweats, pal? Pal, I do.